Alright, let's do another part. From here, we'll figure it out. From, you know, a national bank, I think, would be good. Increase our GDP growth and decrease our interest rates. That would be not bad, actually. Let's do sector-wide bargaining first, I guess. Trinket minimum wage, limited safety regulations. The government and the labor movement need not be enemies. Indeed, it was only by creating antagonism between the two that the trade Bolsheviks could take power. We will make sure that this can never happen again by setting regulations for each sector of our economy to protect both the workers and the companies. The government shall serve as the arbiter of all labor disputes, but we will also make sure these disputes less frequent by establishing uniform salaries positions in every industry and founding state-run unions to represent the interests of employees. We can defend both the rights of the entrepreneur and the dignity of workers. With the unions under our control, we will be able to protect our workers from exposure to radical left-wing ideologies that so easily infect private unions. Yeah, alright. Put that guy in Samara, let him keep watch there. Yeah, there we are. Next, I'm thinking we'll do some labor police. Within every union and communist traders are communist traders who scheme and plot, subtly spreading their poisonous doctrine among the workers and planning for the downfall of Russia. We must be ever vigilant against this threat, for it has already brought the motherland low once. A new internal security service should be created, tasked with monitoring the workers of Russia, especially those who are involved in labor unions. These labor police will work in the open and undercover, on the factory floor and in the back room where plotters meet. The only way to separate the socialist agenda from the honest laborers they try to deceive is with constant oversight. The worker's best friend is not the organizer, but the government officer that tails him. Invest in construction. I think we'll hire some foreign instructors. Get that going for us. We'll get a new doctrine going. Some recon guys. And then from here, what are we going to want to do? Labor police. Not give effects for military austerity. Fair enough. Let's do a national bank. The Combinats have been highly successful, and their success has brought prosperity to Russia. Supporting their growth has proven to be a wise decision, but now some of the owners are beginning to chafe under our guidance. The Combinats cannot be allowed to grow too independent of our rule, and the best way to maintain their independence on the government is through a method known as the window guidance. Window guidance is a technique mastered by the Japanese central bank that involves encouraging bank investments in companies that comply with the government's advice. By creating a new national bank of Russia, we will centralize our state's financial power and consolidate control over Russia's most powerful corporations. Makes sense to me. We'll do it. And then probably military-industrial complexes. Actually, revitalizing national service program seems like a pretty good one. Do in the short term at least, so let's do that. Pay off the debt. Get that national bank going. Try to get out of poverty as quickly as we can. think we'll move on to somewhere else for now. Actually, that construction speed bonus is nice. Plus, we'll get the combinats decision, which might be interesting. So let's finish this up while we're here. Brighter stick. I'm sure there's something cool and interesting there, but I guess we'll never know. I'll close that up. Yeah. How's old man Borman doing? He's sending out a message, evidently. Infantry anti-tank. Basic anti-tank will be improved. Replaced with improved. Oh, frames are killing me for a second, but figured out. Now we got the Reich Protectorate Rusland, and then the Reich Commissariat Moscovian now. And now the future can begin. For Europe, the Industrial Revolution came to an end in the early 20th century, but for Russia, it has been an ongoing struggle. Both the Tsars and the Soviets invested massive amounts of time and resources to industrialize an agrarian nation. Sometimes they succeeded, but more often than not, their efforts stalled, accomplishing little. We have managed to succeed where they have failed. Under our control, Western Russia has finally industrialized, joining the rest of a civilized world at long last. Every day, millions of Russians go to work in thousands of factories from Arkhangelsk to Samara. Russian business empires are beginning to make a name for themselves, not just in Russia, but around the world. Steel mills turn out record amounts of material that will be used to build everything from tanks to skyscrapers. Russia has finally escaped the past, and now the future awaits. So economically, we are back on track. Free civilian factories. Oh, man. Let's build up our capital a bit, then we gotta improve Simbirsk a little bit, because the state of infrastructure there is horrible. And then, yeah, civilian factories. Arkhangelsk has 100% infrastructure, so that's gonna be a great one to build stuff in. So we'll prioritize military-industrial development, get a military factory, increase our GDP. Very nice. Pay off our debt, invest that into the GDP. Do we want to do JM&T? Let's work on education first. Our education system began as merely an outgrowth of our soldier training program. Smart, literate kids were encouraged to learn the variety of technical trades needed for a modern army. As our nation has grown, civilian teaching institutions have begun popping up, trying to increase literacy and scrape together however many engineers and doctors could be found. The time has now come for even more fundamental education reform. Every child will receive standard education with a technical institute offering cheap and rapid training in valuable trades. Meanwhile, more gifted pupils will be guided to reopen universities. Even more important than natural resources, the population of Russia, our greatest weapon in the upcoming struggles. Okay, so here are the combatants. Long years of disorder have turned Russia into a country that imports much and exports little. This much change if it is to prosper once again. The combatants' large industrial trusts offer a pathway to effect this change. If they are properly supported by the state and their industrial possessions subsidized and expanded, they can and will serve a solid economic foundation for the Russia of the future. Let's do some construction speed and some research speed. In fact, let's prioritize construction for now. A bit of it to political power. Prioritize construction a little bit again. I think what's she gonna do? We'll invest in construction, actually. As soon as we get the power. Yep, the pragmatists have gone ahead and won in Kazakhstan. Very nice. The civics in recent history class was definitely one of the more popular ones. The children of the class, freed from chimera concepts such as algebra and grammar, were left free to listen to the teacher's tale about Russia and the darkies that had plagued it. The teacher spoke to his pupils of a simpler, better time, before the twin-head demons of Germany and Bolshevism had thrown Russia in disarray. The brave men of the ROA, drafted by their foreign tyrants, had helped fatally weaken the Western Soviet remnants before liberating all Western Russia. Of the future of its teacher spoke only in generalities. The students needed to work hard to keep the motherland strong and safe. One day, the decaying Germans would come, just as the Tartars had been driven out of Russia in the end. The bell of recess let the kids stream out into the nearby field where the games of the ROA and Soviets were played out over and over. A few of the youths, remembering the fate of the parents' loss and collapse of the front, did not take part in the games with the same enthusiasm. Russia's future, free from its past. Our academic base is going up. Beautiful. The decaying Germans would come. That's... yeah. Their turn will come. Their turn will come. That is totally poggers, as you put it. Let's... maybe foreign business. Yeah, foreign business. Let's do it. If we're to rebuild a strong Russia, we must welcome all those that wish to do business here. International capital and expertise will help bring us into the modern age. At least, that's a theory. In practice, few people dare invest in an untested nation that has just emerged from a violent set of civil wars with an uncertain future. We must appeal to the few that are brave or foolish enough to invest in our country. Special economic zones, privileged government contracts, and a few good old bribes might sweeten the deal for our new international friends. Alright, so we can bring them under government and control to get back our PP game. Okay. Not too bad. Okay. We could do worker training coming up. Foreign business. Let's do a charm offensive. In the Samara Declaration, we've clearly stated to the world that the ROA is not and shall never be a tool of the Germans. Now we must work to minimize our past ties from German occupiers if we're to receive international recognition. There are, of course, various angles to strike at. Italians, Americans, and Japanese, among many others, might be delighted to see a united Russia emerge on Germany's doorstep. We can equally underscore opposition to communism and hint the breakdown of our relations with Germany as a cause for future conflict with the collapsing Reich. Yeah, there we go. Get some more anti-tank. Better agricultural methods. Beautiful. And just good stuff all around. More recruitable population especially. Childish fantasy, I tell you. What's the next to go up? I'm curious. Maybe industrial equipment, perhaps. Industrial expertise is going up pretty well. I don't know. It's coming along pretty well in general, I'm thinking. Which I'm happy about. Got the good old charm offensive. Oh, I just got I got a text. Let's go ahead and read this. Nick, your parcel 1Z16440 was supposed to be delivered before Christmas. Track here, and get compensation. I don't know if you guys know this, but my name is not Nick, so I don't think. Yeah, block that. They can't even get my damn name right with these spam calls. I don't know what to tell you guys. And let's do some business contacts. You lied about your name, Nick. Oh god, I got exposed. The international business community was understandably hesitant to invest in Russia when it was dominated by warlordism and anarchy. It's hard to make a profit when your potential customers are fighting for their lives and focused on not starving. But now that we have restored a measure of stability to our corner of Russia, we may be able to attract some investment from overseas. Corporations from Italy, America, and Japan might be persuaded to at least look into expanding their operations into Russia. The promise of a government that is friendly to capitalism and eager to establish economic ties with the outside world might just be enough to get them to overlook the dangers of investing in an ongoing war zone. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me. Business contacts. Okay. I want to hold off on doing social net because that'll up our GDP cost. And we're still running a nice profit that I want to keep going as we build up our economy. Let's do an outward-looking army. Not too long ago, our army was filled with factionalism, infighting, and corruption. Its ranks were swelled with incompetent and treasonous conscripts, and our officer corps was overloaded and politically untrustworthy. Although it was more than sufficient to conquer West Russia, the RR was not the well-oiled machine we needed to reclaim the west of the country from the despots and criminals occupying it. With our recent reforms, the fact has changed. The army is now slimmer and more effective, united behind political leadership in the name of our cause. It is now time to look out from our own borders and, as the best trained, best led army in all of Russia, take the first steps to total reunification. Got tactical support done. Get a new doctrine going. Organic units. Independence for the UAE. To the Urals and beyond. Well, I gotta make a note in my calendar real quick. The 2nd. Alright, the new recruits diligently completed their physical training under the encouragements of and insults of their drill officers. Nikolai occasionally looked at the candidates as he patrolled around the base. There's a new breed of recruits, motivated voluntary men, not the desperate conscript of the German days, nor the starving peasants begging to hold a rifle in exchange for some food in the dark days of Samara. These recruits were looking to join the ROA and take place in the future liberation of Russia. Of course, for every voluntary man, 10 more had to be drafted. Yet something of a change in the atmosphere could be detected. Different too were the officers. Many were recently promoted, taking up spots once occupied by old, bitter, or desperate men. Out here on the border, so close to the Urals, the new generation of ROA officers prepared for the Great Crusade east. Much remained to be done. New guns, new tanks, better training standards. Yet Nikolai found himself hopeful. Changes were coming, and the ROA's enemies were right to fear for the coming war. If one wants peace. Let's go ahead and do a gunsmithing program. The warlord armies of West Russia only scarcely had modern equipment to rely on. In most of the battles we fought on our way to regional hegemony, both sides were primarily equipped with surplus weapons from the Great Patriotic War, with even 10-year-old hardware being somewhat of a luxury. This will not suffice in our future battles. The enemies we have ahead of us will be larger, better equipped, and more industrially formidable than our comparably meager previous forces. The prospect of a serious disparity in equipment quality between us and our rivals is disconcerting enough to warrant immediate action. The ROA desperately needs modern guns, and a manufacturing drive across our entire territory should get us to where we need to be. Anything less would relegate our soldiers to battlefield inferiority in the coming days. Worker training, that's a big one. We'll also do heavy machinery. Importation, it's beautiful. Let's probably order let's probably order some construction. Current sides with Italy. Magnifico. Building some more civvy factories. So I think we'll up this in priority a little bit, so we'll finish up the civvy factories a bit quicker. Next, let's do... Oh, Salazar's gone. Ooh, total mobilization is going to be rough, but the army bonus is going to help us out a lot, so we'll have to take that. Yeah, shit. Let's hold off on doing the social net. Let's do jam and tea. Improved ties with the wider world makes it possible to expand the supply of luxury foodstuffs. Foreign delicacies have long been missed by the population of Western Russia during the anarchy. The return of these luxuries will help us still further with population and common soldiers. In particular, the return of caffeinated hot drinks will be much lauded throughout our nation. Yeah, the Russian people need their coffee after all. Yeah, we'll finish this up 24th of April. That'll be finished, what, 22nd of October, it says right now. But as soon as we finish, where is it? Production, construction. Yeah, 6th of October already. GM&T. Let's get, Do you want contact with Moscovian? I think we'll get contact with Moscovian. It's no secret that the situation in Rush-Komazar Moscovian is unstable, and that's putting it mildly. The German efforts to settle the territory have proven insufficient to outpopulate the native Russians, who have been forced to live as an oppressed majority in their former homeland. The Germans want less Russians than Moscovian, and the Germans don't want to be ruled by the Russians don't want to be ruled by the Germans. There's a solution that benefits both parties, but more importantly, it benefits us most of all. Using our contacts in Muscovia, we can create an immigration program that will resettle tens of thousands of Russians from the Reich Commissariats to within our borders. This immigration will greatly increase our population and bring fresh recruits for the army straight to our doorstep. I mean, it's not a bad idea, I guess. I can think of many worse ideas to go with right about now. This will be done in May. Get the better tanks going. Research slots. I think we'll go ahead and do resource extraction techniques with our tech boost. And then we'll try the Nordics help. With Europe aflame in the aftermath of German Civil War and with Central Asia and Siberia in chaos, our main connection to the outside world goes through the Nordic countries. Norway, Finland, and Sweden are on the Pax orbit and all share a complicated past with us. Nevertheless, we may possess resources and opportunities that may tempt at least one of these governments to serve as trade intermediaries with the wider world. We can hope. Let's see. How's Norway doing? They are in no faction right now. Their coup attempt failed, it seems. Conservatives. Yeah. Ooh, race for the Urals. Looks like Omsk went ahead and did it for us. New theater. We'll do as much investment in the Euro League as we can, because I believe if we integrate them, we'll get a bonus. Like a little bonus national focus thingamajig. I forget the... Sweden rejects our offer. Norway rejects our offer. God damn it! Fucking Nords. They had to do it to us, I guess. I don't know why, but they did it to us. Let's do Modern Air Force. Since the downfall of the West Russian Revolutionary Front, the vast majority of Russia's battles have been fought on the ground. Much of the scattered warlord states left behind had neither the funds nor the equipment to maintain a large air force. Our ground superiority allowed us to bulldoze our way through Russia, but this tactical state of affairs will not last. Our future opponents will be larger, more modern states, equally capable of fielding jet fighters, and bombers. The ROA needs to react with the utmost speed to these changing circumstances and create a new air force. With productive capability, West Russia's factories behind us, building planes is finally within our grasp. Subjugating our eastern rivals will require taking to the skies, and the ROA's best are well up to that task. Omsk isn't. Investing, which kind of makes me a little scared. We might have to go ahead and do something that I'd rather not do. Let's see. We got 20 wets. Engineers. Can we get recon companies? We can, so I'll go ahead and add those to our divisions. Create conspiracy. Might be true. A new national focus. Let's go ahead and get our toes wet. Unlike with our nascent Air Force, building a strong Navy is a relatively mild concern, at least for now. The unification wars ahead of us will be fought almost entirely on or over solid ground. Still, it would be prudent to create a small Navy, both to police the waters we do border, and to set up a framework for after we achieve total unification, at which time a large Navy would be necessary. Refitting several ships from the Soviet era for the present era should do, at least for now. For leadership, we shouldn't spare anyone vital. This is not a serious priority at the moment, but few would turn down the chance to be the first admiral of a new Russia. We may be starting small, but our new successors will surely appreciate our foresight for beginning to establish the Navy now. Or you can hope that they would, at least. Yeah, I think Omsk is just going to invade these guys. Which, I mean, fair enough, I guess. Uh-oh, Albert Speer has disappeared. That's not good. Do some modernization of the ROA. Veterans of the ROA long for the day when fighting will end. Their long-suffering weapons await patiently their final day of work. Modernization seeks to phase out obsolete and obsolescent equipment to leave our men equipped with good quality modern weapons. It does not mean an obsession with the cutting edge, but rather a strong baseline for all our troops. Modernization is an ongoing effort and is never truly complete. Nevertheless, modernization will leave us ready for anything. What can we invest in next? That too. Economy. Pay off debt. Invest the rest in the economy. Unoffensive. Yep. I knew they were going to do that. We'll match them. Take out Orenburg, which shouldn't be too hard. Huh. Kinda hoping we wouldn't be in war this quick. Jellicoe's been re-elected. Blimey. England and Scotland's at war. Into Orenburg. Well, let's cut these guys off and then the mechanization of the ROA. The West Russian War and the Anarchy star men carrying kilos and kilos of equipment into and out of combat zones. Wounded comrades were often abandoned as our men were unable to carry them quickly enough to field hospitals. Strong points were nightmares to capture, as light infantry was exposed to artillery and heavy machine gun fire. Mechanization is the principle that sees our men rely on an ever-increasing fleet of motorized and armored vehicles. Vehicles that are able to transport them to battle, to support them during offensives, and shield them during firefights. It will be a costly process, and one that might not be completed for years. Yet any amount of armor and speed will be a great force multiplier. Okay, so we took those guys out. I would have preferred to do it diplomatically, but here we are. And Omsk is dead. Yeah, yeesh. I'll have these guys, put them there. And I think Omsk went for the old idea of going to war to try to avoid, ignore the diplomatic, all the at-home crises going on. Okay, we can get working on integrating this stuff. We'll start with Orenburg. Hopefully get back the manpower that we lost from that. Pieces have been brought to Vietnam. Mechanization of the ROA has been completed. And next, Standardization of the ROA. Our military industries now hum at a good pace, and all of our men are equipped. It is finally time for standardization to begin in full. The day where 5 soldiers carry 10 calibers of weapons is over. Standardization will become one of the guiding principles of the Russian army. Standardized weapons, yes, but also standardized clothes, equipment, tools, standardized food supply and storage, standardized leadership structures. The Germans sought to beat discipline into us. We shall, in turn, march out into all of Russia with the precise set of instruments needed for victory. Yeah, shoot. A union at what cost? What do you want to be a sailor for? There are greater storms in politics than you will ever find at sea. Piracy, broadsides, blood on the decks. You'll find them all in politics. The return of the old. Man, our corn time is really bad. Let's do Green Water Navy. As more international commerce comes online and our ambitions realize themselves, it's time to expand our efforts to reach a Green Water Navy. Such a fleet will be able to patrol our corner of the Baltic Sea and bloody the nose of any fleet attempting amphibious assault on our territory. The types of ships needed are small and within reach. Conventional submarines and destroyers will pose a threat to any foreign presence in our home water as long as they are well supported by land-based aviation. Turn off day-night cycle. I just realized that was on. Do, 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 do. Yeah. Feels bad for Omsk. Vorkuta is kind of hanging on. That's kind of cute. Occupied state. Green Water Navy. Let's do some fortifications, build some forts in the south. Our frontiers with Germans and the other Russian warlords are thousands of kilometers long. As such, it is impossible to fortify every centimeter of it. Nevertheless, we have learned much about fortification efforts in the wars of unification and in the West Russian War. By fortifying important valleys and roads throughout our borders, and by creating well-armed redoubts, we can slow down any invasion and extract heavy casualties in the beginning of any war. These positions will be as important when we go on the offensive as fallback areas should plans go awry. Yeah, we need to get as much manpower as we can. So we really need to rush down the military tree. Not rush down it, but get finishing it. Oh, free dockyards, beautiful. We can only really build convoys, so let's build convoys. Building stuff in Simbirsk and then Arkhangelsk. Getting those nice city factories built up. From there, what do we want to build? Samara would be good. Maybe Sharia, Murmansk. Perm, actually. It's 50. Oh, Syktyvkar is 100. I can build some in there, too. And Murmansk is 80. So, yeah, let's get building in all of those places. Okay, we can go ahead and integrate. Let's integrate Orsk. Is there much of a difference? Magnitogorsk is a bit better, I guess. Oh. Value for money? Our ambitious program of weapons and equipment development has inevitably run into delays and problems. New weapons and vehicles encounter teething problems on their first distributions. All of this is natural and expected by our engineers and officers. Underperforming designs are being reworked or removed from production. Improvements are made to industrial processes. Day by day, we calculate the perfect ratio of money to effectiveness for every piece of kit and work to improve it. There we go. Oh yeah, our industrial base is about to pop off. Research facilities too, maybe. Army professionalism is coming along very nice. Industrial expertise. Maybe some military construction would be good. Actually, let's do early industrial robotics. It'll take a while, but we'll, you know. All good things must, you know, they have to start somewhere. Get the new rifles going. And let's do some night vision 1. Harmonization. War has become a complicated business. Every year there are new weapons to equip our soldiers with, new training methods that will better prepare the men for combat, new tactics that will provide the crucial edge on the battlefield. If this were not enough to keep track of, each of these new developments is supposed to work in conjunction with one another. We have managed to keep our men equipped with modern weapons and trained to modern standards. Our generals are keeping up to date with the latest developments in strategic thought. However, our army still feels somewhat discordant. Our officers must know how they can use modern tanks and IFVs in their maneuvers more effectively. The men must be trained with modern rifles and anti-tank equipment. It's not enough for the military to be well-equipped or well-led. Every part must move together in harmony. Only then will we have a modern professional military fit for a nation, not a warlord. Let's move. Speaking of Air Force, let's move it over here. Well, they want to go to war with us. Might as well prepare for war then. I'm personally not too worried about either kicking my ass. The Ural War. We'll do that to get some support company stuff. That manpower is huge, actually. Shit, let's get that. That infrastructure is big. We'll take that. Air bases would be good. And from there, do we really need any of this? More political power, actually, would be good. And we'll do the political power. So much for a big epic battle. You know, to end all battles. Early motorized. We got plenty of artillery now, so let's ease off on that. All the way with LBJ, heck yeah. Get some more tanks going. Got early fighters. Maybe some CAS. Early close air support. And then probably some strat bombers. Alright, let's go ahead and do future warfare. Blue Sky research is a military setting. In a military setting, consists of researching things that may not have immediate use or applicability. This type of research should never monopolize all of a nation's resources. It can pay big dividends to stay on the lookout for technologies that are just 5 to 10 years away from being relevant. As our industrial base expands and our army gains experience fighting various enemies, old ideas must be investigated anew. Who knows what the future holds for the Russian army? Who knows indeed? Alright, we'll go a little bit longer for this video. Probably wait until we'll have to go, we'll go down on these two. Oh yeah, our civilian industry is popping off. And I gotta look at our GDP right now and see how it's doing. It's doing pretty well. Oh, better. I don't know if I'd say well. Oh god, that total mobilization is gonna kick it in the teeth. We'll do Russia stable and orderly first then. The Russian nation has existed for centuries, but our government is still young. We have not yet made a strong impression on the world stage. We must make the initiative and define ourselves before our enemies can slander us in the eyes of great powers. The Provisional Commissariat of Western Russia shall be known as a beacon of order and law in a chaotic world. We shall lead by example, standing against the evils of communism and Nazism and defending the stability of our region. All across the globe, nations shall look upon Russia and know that it can be counted on to do what is right. We will reclaim the motherland status as a bulwark against anarchy. Yeah, alright. Oh, there we go. That's beautiful. We'll get 2 more of these guys trained up. Get them in one of the armies. And then I want to get looking on getting some tanks. Battle tank. Motorized. Motorized. Those are 20 widths. Engineers, I think, are going to be a big one. Better industrial equipment. There we go. Get those guys set up. We'll do air support. Get more of those tanks. Bit of CAS. Motorized we're fine on. We'll put the rest down towards tanks. Probably get some more rubber. So let's see, we'll go Indonesia. Let's integrate Magnitogorsk. Where is that? I'm blanking. There we are. And then we might just save up, get more of these guys going. Russia, stable and orderly. Alright. Full mobilization. It's going to be a bit of a pain, but you might have to do it. Western Russia is now reunified. With most of the populous region of our nation firmly under our control, we are now able to decide how that population will serve their motherland. For decades of devastation Russia endured annihilated everything resembling a national industry. This provides us with a chance to start fresh and create a new economy that is fine-tuned to serve our purposes. In the short term, at least, that will involve a focus on rapidly increasing military production as we prepare for looming conflicts to our east and west. Each and every citizen will do their part to build a new, stronger Russia. When the next war comes to the motherland, we will not need to transition to a war economy. We will already have it in place. Not a fan of that for our civilian industry, because that is the big moneymaker at the end of the day. But I mean, hey, we got some time to finish it up. Serbia sides with Italy. How's our construction speed going? Our poverty rate is holding it back big time. 4-year draft, 2 factory complexes. Is there anything to help out with poverty? Not quite. Poverty. I don't see anything for poverty. Well, we can consolidate some state resource corporations. Get some good resources going. And well, what did I click? I meant to click that actually. That worked out beautifully. Our enemies mocked us as cannon fodder, loathsome vermin deployed to absorb casualties from the German devils, an opinion shared by our former German masters, who wrote us off in the aftermath of a West Russian war. A decade we spent in Samara, training and waiting. Of our enemies in West Russia, none stand. The Red Army remnants have been crushed and thrown to the dustbin of history. The Tsarist mummies have joined the Reds in this fate. Only the ROA stands. Our enemies mock us no longer. Veterans and recruits alike fighting with modern equipment. Let the Germans cower in their rotting empire as we march to the Pacific, for the RA marches out of hell and into a future of vengeance and national liberation. Here we go. We're not quite ready to go to war, so we'll prepare with the Vorkuta border. Because, yeah, that's what we got to worry about. Offensive lines. Yeah. Let's revitalize national service programs too. A little bit extra manpower. A little bit more construction speed, less consumer good factories. Get our base set up as quickly as we can while we still can. Infantry into tank. Actually, we might want to do... Let's do anti-air. We'll have to start building that, but that's not the worst thing. After a long day of patrols and drilling, the newly minted Corporal Gennady Volkov sat down on his bed, opposite his friend and a longtime RA member, Konstantin Pavlovsky. The pair, alongside the rest of our squad, had finally been taken off the frontline action in a standard troop rotation, and Volkov found himself oddly empty. To his surprise, he'd enjoyed the time on the front lines, even during the bloody unification war against Tsarists, communists, and others. He felt a pride in his chest, as if he was doing something good for the first time in his life, that was working towards something greater than himself. But rearguard duty was sort of boring to the young corporal. As he put off his new boots, he noted how much comfier they were than the ones he had been issued when he first joined up. Storing his assault rifle, he recalled the days when he'd been given, when he had been given a German-made Car 98K, the bolt of which seemed to jam after every other shot. Now what he and his entire squad, for that matter, were issued could seemingly be dragged through the mud and still worked. The changes were incredibly apparent for a young man who had witnessed vast change in his relatively short tenure. As he sat back down on his bunk, Pavlovsky across from him was reading. With change in his mind, asked the grizzled veteran. The grizzled veteran. Say, Pavlovsky, what do you think of everything that's changed? A small grin crept across Pavlovsky's face as he turned his head to face Volkov and closed the book. I think that the changes are pretty crazy. If you told me 3 years ago that I'd be sitting here with a belly full of food, clothes that haven't been worn by 3 other people before me, and a gun that works, I would have told you you're crazy. The man was notoriously laconic, but Volkov always pressed him for more. Have you ever seen anything like this before? I mean, when the army was forced to fight with the Germans? Silence before Pavlovsky's response came. Oh, God. I can't remember, it seems. He ran ahead through his silver scruff. I can barely remember the equipment they gave us, the missions we were giving. Completely suicidal they were. You're lucky to get their assault rifle, the STG. Usually you'd have old rifles, the ones that I guess their own soldiers couldn't use. There's a pause. There's so few of us left from there, then. But I think that every one of us is grateful for what we have now. Besides, now that we're free from the grip of the Germans, well, I finally feel pride in fighting for something other than revenge. A forward-looking army, for sure. Beautiful. We have the Army of Liberation. We don't have that hit to recruitable population anymore, which is huge. My God, thank you for that, game devs. And so I think from here on out, the only thing we can do is just kind of cut it here. Time to wrap up the stream. So I'll end the video here.